Hi everyone, my name is Helena Samsioe. I'm the founder and CEO of GLOBHE. It's great to be here today and be part of Umeå Tech Arena. Even though we can't meet physically, it's great to be a part of it digitally. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about the journey of GLOBHE and how drones are doing a lot of great things around the world. About 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, I lived in Zambia and I realized that there were a lot of drones out there. But the drones weren't necessarily doing so many great things, and I thought that was a bit of a shame. I saw the drone as a tool that could provide value to society and also create a lot of new business opportunities. And back then in 2015, drones were mostly used either in the filming industry as a tool for the film industry, or it was also associated with military activities. And there was a big gap in between there, lots and lots of opportunities in between that drones can really make a difference and also provide business value. So back in 2015, I founded GLOBHE as a global drone as a service company. And the way that I saw it was that it was possible to connect drones out there and actually provide value for clients such as organizations and companies and governments in need of the value from what drones could provide. And the first drone service that GLOBHE launched was a drone delivery on demand service. And then 2 years later, we also launched a drone maps on demand service. And that's the service that we're still carrying on today. And what we're doing is that we have connected over 3,700 drones that are out there in 77 countries that are connected to our global crowd droning platform today. So what that means is that we have available pilots that take on freelance drone flying missions upon request from our clients. So if you are a drone pilot, you can easily sign up to our crowd droning platform and be part of our global gig economy. And if you're a client, you can easily request a drone map from pretty much anywhere in the world. And your request is then being matched with the closest drone pilot. And the pilot flies the mission, collect the image data, and then upload that image data to the GLOBHE crowd droning platform, where our clients easily can access it and download it, which makes our client more up-to-date and more informed over a certain area. And that is, of course, great for our clients. They receive updated information, and our drone pilots are part of creating a better future by both reducing air pollution, since all our drones are battery-driven, but also gathering data that's part of creating a better future for both people and the planet around the world. And the way that our platform works is that the clients enter what type of drone map they want, from where and when they need it. And that request is then being matched with the closest drone pilot with the most suitable drone technology and who is available at that moment. And we can filter and search based on different criteria such as name and location and drone technology and match the mission accordingly. And the reason for why we're doing this is that drones are able to provide a new perspective. Traditional methods of gathering image data has formerly only been limited to satellite imagery, such as Google Maps, or traditional aircraft. But as you can see here, the image quality that you receive from these more traditional methods is quite different. The resolution is much worse in both satellite imagery and aircraft imagery, resulting in that you cannot get as detailed information out of these images as you can get from a drone map. And that is, of course, sometimes not as important, but if you need to find detailed information in the image, then that's an added value for our clients. And an example for that can be if you're looking for something small, such as malaria breeding site or agriculture, and you need to find detailed information in the image data, then drone maps is the way to do that through. And another reason and another advantage of drone maps compared to traditional methods is, of course, also that it's more up-to-date image data that we can provide. Traditional satellite data usually lags between 16 days and even up to 2 years. So if you're looking for a sudden onset change, such as if there has occurred a natural disasters and you want to find out what roads are flooded or what houses are damaged and telecom infrastructure that might have been damaged as well, you can't really see those changes by looking at traditional satellite images. So that's also where our drone maps can come in and provide that new perspective then that can help guide our clients in their operations to be able to provide their service in a better way to their clients. So this is what the finished product looked like, and it's image data, but it's image photos, and it's provided as data. It tells a story and it provides a value for our clients, and at the same time, it is also providing a value for people and the planet. So we primarily work with health, infrastructure, and environmental data, and primarily in these three areas. In disease impact maps, disaster impact maps, and environmental impact maps are primarily the type of maps that we do produce and provide for our clients. And as you can see also here from this image is, of course, that there is a correlation between these different areas as well. For instance, if we scan an area to track for environmental changes, that could also be a sign and a warning indicator that there actually might be a natural disaster in this area. If the area is very dry, for instance, there might be a wildfire in a few weeks or in a few days, and that type of information can then be valuable for quite a vast number of different clients, both from governments and emergency response, as well as for, of course, agriculture and farming companies that are in need of information about their crop fields and the status of their crops. As well as we're also seeing that when natural disasters happens, then that usually has a negative impact both on society and the people living there, but also on infrastructure. So we do see a lot of roads getting destroyed or other critical infrastructure such as telecom towers and power lines and so forth. And that's a piece of information then also both for governments and humanitarian organizations and relief organizations working in these areas post a disaster, but also can provide a value for private companies that are in need of restoring infrastructure in these affected areas. So I will now tell you a little bit more about some of the concrete use cases that our drones are currently out there doing around the world. As I mentioned previously, GLOBHE is a global drone company. We are based in Stockholm, Sweden, but we do have freelance drone pilots in over 77 countries today. So we do work on a global basis and are able to do that through our digital platform. And one ongoing project that we currently have is in Malawi, where we're using drones to be able to track and monitor mosquito breeding sites. And we're doing this together with the United Nations and also together with the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine. And the request came from our clients where they have indicated or realized that there is actually a way to visualize what a typical mosquito breeding site look like. And of course then our drones can be used to be able to search for these typical malaria mosquito breeding sites and be able to pinpoint where they are located, and hence by doing so hopefully being able to prevent a malaria outbreak even before it occurs, which of course has a great benefit to society by reducing the risk of a disease outbreak, but also it has an economical impact in the sense that the government doesn't have to spray in all of the lake areas to reduce the likelihood of malaria spreading. And it's also an environmental impact that is being decreased by identifying where it's at the highest risk of getting malaria and only spraying in those areas and relieving the environment from more damage than what's needed, so to say. And another great example of what our drones are doing out in the world and helping our clients with is also to map areas post-natural disasters. And this is an example from Fiji, where our drones recently only a few weeks ago, post-tropical cyclone Harold, that did hit the Fiji Islands and Vanuatu, and also, of course, then created a lot of damage to society, both in terms of damaged housing, fallen trees that were blocking roads and bridges, and other type of infrastructural damages that happened. So we then outsourced through our platform a request from the United Nations to help map these areas and provide information to the UN to better be able to plan the relief efforts in these areas. And that's also a typical example of how our drones and drone maps can provide a value, since if we looked and compared on satellite imagery, you couldn't even see that the tropical cyclone had hit these areas. It looked the same through satellite imagery on a satellite image But when our drones then collected the updated data, we could see all these differences that had happened. And then a third example is here from Sweden, where our drones have been used to create a more sustainable farming and livestock environment by being able to identify grazing habits and moving habits of cattle. And by doing so, being able to inform and give the farmers a bit more information in terms of how to, in a most sustainable way, both structure cattle and farming environment on their farms. So this is a few examples of how drones already are providing value in society, and we're only at the beginning of what's possible. But there is a vast opportunities for drones out there to really provide a value and really make a difference, both from a social impact standpoint, but also provide a value for organizations, companies, and governments out there. So at GLOBHE, that's what we are aiming on continuing doing and continuing pushing for creating a better future with drones around the world. And as we're seeing now, only 4.5 years later, we moved from being in a bit of a testing environment and an innovation lab of how can you use drones? Can you even do this? We have now moved to a global drone service provider that is able to utilize drones and provide value to our clients and to society around the world. So very happy to be able to be here today and share our story. For the ones who are interested in following what we're doing, please feel free to follow us on at GLOBHE Drones in social media, and also to check out on our website, www.globhe.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Helena. I mean, what a fantastic journey you have done so far. And I mean, it's really interesting to see all these great things you can do with drones. But I wonder, from your perspective, where do you think drones can provide the most value?
The application areas for drones are quite limitless. There is a vast application areas where drones really can make a difference and also provide business intelligence and business value. But I would say I think the most important value that drones can provide is that they can act as early warning signals, and they can prevent something instead of responding to something, whether that is a pandemic and a disease outbreak, or a natural disaster, or infrastructural damage, railroad tracks or other that could actually lead to a disaster if something goes wrong. That is where I see the greatest value of drones, to be able to prevent a disaster before it happens and act as those early warning signals. That's a benefit both from a security aspect and a societal and social impact aspect, but also from an economical standpoint and aspect.
Yeah, that's great, and I really agree to that. And I mean, this also shows how tech, in this case drones, really can make a big difference and have an impact on the society and basically everything. With GLOBHE, you've been on a startup journey now for 4.5 years. What would you say are the main challenges and opportunities you have?
I would say the two main challenges and also our opportunities are in a way related and in a way the same to some extent. So I would say our two challenges are primarily regulatory frameworks that still hinders us to fly drones autonomously and beyond visual line of sight, and also the lack of information among our end users and clients that the value that the drones can provide. So it's a bit of a regulatory gap and an educational gap that we are spending a lot of time to work towards, so that we actually can be out there and we can fly drones and we can provide value at a larger scale than what we're doing today. But I would also say that those two are our two greatest opportunities in a way, because we're seeing that regulatory frameworks are being adopted and being adopted for serious drone providers to provide business value, and it's moving forward. Even though it's going slow, it's moving forward, and we're seeing the drone market actually becoming a real market due to that. And we're also seeing that companies and organizations and governments have started to understand that the drone it's a tool that can provide value. It's not just a toy, or it's not just associated with negative application areas. So we're moving towards that, and as we are moving towards a more regulatory framework that allows for drone operations and a society that understands the value, then of course the opportunities for us are increasing as well.
That's great. The future is bright for both you and GLOBHE, and the future is bright for drones as well. Thank you so much for joining us, Helena. It was a pleasure having you here.